Coming to you from an undisclosed location, somewhere deep in the heart of the Santa Monica Mountains, I am your intrepid host, L.A. Marzulli. Welcome to another episode where I'm going to interview Billy Crone. Pastor Billy Crone. We've been at numerous conferences together over the years. I consider him a friend, great researcher. He's on the cutting edge, tip of the spear. He goes places that I kind of look at and just wave at. It's just like, whoa, you've got to be kidding me. But we'll get into this. But first, a word from our trusted sponsor. One of the biggest factors behind aging is the drop in our body's natural collagen production. This collagen drop starts in your 20s, and by your 40s and 50s, your skin is basically starving for it, leading to visible signs of aging like wrinkles, sagging skin, joint discomfort, and brittle nails. Unfortunately, most collagen supplements on store shelves don't provide the nutrients and absorption your skin needs. This is why I take collagen. Folks, I take it every day, and I'm obsessed with how much it improves my skin. This amazing multi-collagen provides 5 types of premium collagen that my body actually needs to rebuild skin from the inside out. My results are smoother skin, more elasticity, fewer fine lines, and a youthful glow. Plus, it mixes easily into my coffee or tea. Has zero flavor, no clumps, making it easy for me to stick with it. Help rejuvenate your skin with ageless multi-collagen. Why, it's 51% off now. And that's healthwithla.com, healthwithla.com. Plus, order today to receive free VIP live health and fitness coaching for life, a free ebook entitled The 14 Foods for Amazing Skin, a 60-day satisfaction guarantee, and free shipping. Once again, this offer is only available for a limited time at our website, healthwithla.com. That's healthwithla.com. Folks, there's a 60-day money-back guarantee. It's got 5 key types of collagen from 4 different sources. There's nearly no odor or taste, unlike bone broth or other collagen supplements. Free shipping with every order. Folks, check it out, healthwithla.com, healthwithla.com. Billy, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Hey, LA, thanks for having me on again, man. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, well, the pleasure's all mine, but I digress. You were just over. You took a whole team. Mando Gonzalez, I know, was there.
Yeah.
Good friend of both of ours. But you guys were across the pond the other way. Tell us about that, and why did you go back again this year?
Well, part of it is because the doors are currently open, and we started this a couple years ago. We and I'm not trying to sound super spiritual, but really this is our heartbeat. We consider these modern day missionary journeys, like with the Apostle Paul and Barnabas, when they would go around and they would plant churches, and then they would come back around again next year, and then they would go and encourage the churches, maybe plant a couple more. And we didn't plan on that, but that's how it's kind of turned out the last few years. Mondo and I and Ken and some other folks, we've been investing in missionary work, going to countries, specifically the remnant who do not have churches. It's not because they're being lazy. They have nothing. The apostasy is so deep, so entrenched. You think we got it bad in America, and it's pretty messed up here. It's nothing compared to what our brothers and sisters in Christ are dealing with around the world. So we've been doing that for several years. We went back to Australia and New Zealand again, to answer your question, because they asked us to come back, and it just happened to work again. Typically when we go, we try to hit, a similar place to encourage them, but we also want to branch out and get a new area that we've never been before. So that's been our heartbeat. And that really started a few years ago when I was in, myself, I was preaching in Europe and in 3 different locations, and simultaneously it was the same response of all 3 locations. When I was leaving one, they were tearfully full of joy and thank you so much for coming here.
Wow.
It's been a blessing. But then they're grabbing onto you, LA, and they're literally saying, please don't leave. And I'm going, but I got to. And reminding me, if you remember in the book of Acts, when Paul was leaving Ephesus, and they were just begging him, please don't go. He says, I got to go. God's called me. Anyway, so there was that, number 1. Number 2, all 3 locations, completely non-scripted, independent of each other. They also followed that up with this: please don't forget about us. And that broke my heart. And so that's when I came back to the States and I said, hey guys, who wants to do some modern day missionary journeys? Let's go encourage the remnant. And so that's what we've been about.
That's just amazing. And, when you talk about going over to Europe, I mean, that Europe was at one time a bastion of Christianity, and it's not anymore.
Yeah.
Tell us what that looks like when you go into a town, and especially with the young people. I mean, they've left, there a lot of New Agers, a lot of paganism, occult stuff. Talk about that, please.
Oh, yeah. Well, basically, the church presence is completely gone. Now, depending on the country, there may still be some church buildings, but the church presence is gone. And typically, all that's left is, and I'm not joking, we've been there on ground, state-run churches. The state runs the church. And most of these people are not just filled with non-Christians, they're being taught by non-Christians. We've met them face to face. This is no joke. And so the remnant, literally, again, they're cut off. They have no place to go. Scotland. In Scotland, we've been there several times making investments there. Scotland is, again, you're talking the Reformation. You're talking the area with John Knox. You're talking, right, and all that. Dude, they're overrun by Freemasonry. It's just a shell. It's not Christianity anymore. And they're into a lot of the one world religion, all religions, everything goes, which if you know anything about Freemasonry, that's one of their big pillars. And so, but then if you go to Italy, which we've invested in Italy, if you're not a Catholic, then you're an atheist or a New Ager. And that's it. And an extreme minority of Christians. And then again, what Christians there are, they're boxed out. In fact, I'll kid you not, I got to share this story with you. After I preached at a conference there in Italy, I had a very small church ask me if I would come and teach prophecy. I said, absolutely. So that was my last day there, like a Sunday evening. And so I go there, and it was, man, I'm not joking. Their sanctuary maybe about twice as big as my office. It was not that big, but they were packed, and they were sitting in these just plastic chairs, and their worship team consisted of the pastor on a keyboard. And I kid you not, LA, it was 7 ladies singing from a microphone. And I couldn't understand Italian, but it was some of the most beautiful worship music I've ever heard in my life. It was so simplistic, but heartfelt and beautiful. It was amazing. So anyway, I give a basic message on Bible prophecy. And of course, there was a translator there. They were literally shell-shocked. And because they'd never heard any of this, they have no clue what's going on prophetically around the world. I mean, nothing. They're boxed down. Then I had a really cool conversation with the pastor there. He's worth his salt. The reason why he asked me to come is because as a Christian, as a pastor, he wants his congregation to know, that's a big chunk of the Bible, prophecy. But he's never been equipped with it to do it accurately, correctly with his, quote, denomination. And so he was glad that I could help with that. But listen to what he said. He says, I said, well, can't you get some resources online and whatever? He says, Pastor Billy, of course, we're going through a translator. He says, name one prophecy book that's translated in Italian. Whoa. Dude, that was an eye-opener for me, right? Whoa. So he's boxed out. But then the second thing I says, and then he told me this. He says he actually approached his denomination saying, hey, can you guys help me get equipped? Because I want to teach, the missing third of the Bible, prophecy, to my congregation. And but I want to make sure I get it right. Could you guys help me out? And you know what they told him? You don't need to teach that. So this is going on all over the world, whether people are boxed out, it's a language barrier. We take for granted we got resources at our fingertips. Go down to Australia, again, where we were just at. Australia, everybody's focus seems to be, if you're not completely woke, everybody wants to be the next Hillsong. And I'm a musician. You're a musician. I'm not against godly, great worship music. But if that's all you do but you don't teach the word, you're out of balance, man, big time. And so people are down there, they're starving to death. And, but also one of the interesting things that happened, I felt led in Australia to poke them in the eye. And I guess it's a pastor thing. And I want to specifically talk about the pandemic because they were one of the countries, if you recall, that was under some of the most draconian measures and the camps that were built and all that stuff. And so I wanted to address that. And part of it was because with our latest documentary, The Globalism and the Antichrist, and we got them in 2 volumes. We just released volume 2. There's your shameless plug. And, but of course, I start off with who's helping to build the Antichrist kingdom. And I start off with Bill Gates. So I did a message about Bill Gates entitled affectionately, Kill Gates and the End of Humanity. and exposed all the ways that he's doing his best to depopulate the planet. And you should have heard them down there. They were like, man, we knew this was going on. Most people don't realize what we were under, what our government did to us, working with the elites and Bill Gates. But I got to share this with you. I had several folks come up to me and they said, Pastor Billy, you realize that Bill Gates is down here in Australia right now building manufacturing plants for the next round. Right? Number one. Number two, they said, when Bill Gates comes to town, I guess he was recently there too. Again, he said, when Bill Gates comes to town, the prime minister goes to Bill Gates. Bill Gates does not come to the prime minister. The leadership goes and licks his boots. This is the stuff that's really going on. A lot of people that would call you and I when we address these kind of things, oh, you're wacky. That's conspiracyguy.org. No, boots on the ground, people there in other countries, don't hear it on the media here in America. This is really what they're up against. And again, what they're saying is they're getting ready to do it again.
Surely he has to come back soon and take us out of here. Because,
Yeah.
Yeah. I want you to address the whole AI thing because, Mondo and Tyler have been sending me little things, and I know they did it with you too. They're hilarious. Just hilarious. LA has a little baby with a mustache. It's just hysterical. Or they'll do you, or Donald Trump talking about you. It's just really, and that's all tongue in cheek, and it's all, done in fun and, good humor and all that stuff. But there's a very dark side to where this can go. Speak to that, please.
Well, part of it is it's adding now, we're starting to see the younger generation who is much more open to this kind of technology because they've been raised their whole life, on social media, computers, cell phones, right? You and I could look back and there was a time when you and I were the remote control for dad on those old TV sets. There was no such thing as a cell phone. There was no internet. What is social media? I never heard of a Zuckerberg in my life.
Right.
So but they don't have that. They've been immersed in this. Now here comes AI. And of course, they're just on it big time. So here's the point. We talked about this in Australia, and it is a legitimate concern that the fact that what I call over-the-counter technology, if Mondo and I and the guys, and we could all joke around with each other and use AI on an app to get realistically looks like Bill Gates is saying something with that, or President Trump had a dinner with me, or what, and here's the point. If I could do that, just lickety split, not really knowing a whole lot like the younger generation about that technology, what do the governments around the world have?
Right.
And see, the younger generation catch that, LA. They catch it a lot faster than our generation. And they're already at that next stage of skepticism. Here's where I'm going like, how can you trust anything? Because they know the power of AI, what it can do. They're not dumb, but they're well-versed in technology. And here's the problem. It works both ways. Yes, for instance, they could be showing right now, no joke, no hyperbole, right now, a major news item, news cycle around the world. How do we know that's completely fabricated?
Yep, exactly.
And that's totally legit, LA. They could do that, and we would never know. We would never know. All they need is just a tiny snippet. I think it was only like even 2 seconds of a person's voice. And that's all they need to make you say anything. And then the video make you say anything that they want. They could just type out what you want. So they're very skeptical, but again, it works both ways. Let's say UFOs land on the White House lawn, and it's legit. I mean, this is on tape all over the place. You know what that generation is already thinking? Not true. How do you know? The rapture happens, and it's actually being recorded all over CCTV, right? It's people that were left behind are videotaping, because that's what you do. You videotape some sort of event instead of respond appropriately. And so then you share that online, and what are they going to say? Oh, that's AI. That's generated. And so, see, it works both ways. So here's the point. It's going to get harder, what we're saying, to share the truth, because AI is building in an even more skeptical society that trusts nothing, even when you really are telling them the absolute truth. That's very dangerous.
And I want you to elaborate on that. Do you think that the whole idea of AI and the fact that you don't know what truth is or what fact is from fiction. We just don't know anymore. I mean, I get stuff all the time. I'm looking at it going, it looks like AI. And sure enough,
Right.
it turns out to be. Do you think that's a line of demarcation where the Lord, has to come back? Because how can you be held accountable? How can I be held accountable? Because you don't know what you're looking at anymore. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in on our YouTube channel. But because of censorship in certain platforms, we can't say what we really want to say. So if you want to watch the rest of this, and I pray that you would do that, the link's right there. Go over to our Rumble channel and you can see the rest of the interview. Unfortunately, this is where we are. And all it takes is 3 strikes and you're out. And we don't want to, poke the bear, as it were. So thanks for your patience. This is not a bait and switch. It's just that some things that are being said may arouse the anger of the bear. Let's just put it that way. Anyway, folks, head over to our Rumble channel. Thanks so much for watching.